I'm Reggie Holliday. I pastor Bethany Fellowship Church in Greensboro, North Carolina.
My name is Mike Osminski. I pastor Lord of the Harvest Christian Fellowship in Detroit, Michigan. I've lived in the city of Detroit all my life. I also lived through the civil rights movement and witnessed the terrible things that were done.
I've been working in the space of racial reconciliation for over 25 years. Through my lifetime, I've experienced racism in different forms, but I had a particular incident of racism with our youngest son who grew up attending Christian schools. And he had this incident where there were some boys who made a racial slur to him and a couple of his friends. And we went to the school and talked to the principal about it. And to our surprise, they sort of tried to explain it away, called the child that had actually perpetrated a racial slur. You know, they just called him being a dumb child. But we later found out that at the same school, that a number of these things have occurred. They were never addressed, and that was disheartening to us.
I taught school in Detroit public schools, and there I was a minority. On the staff, I was a minority in terms of my students. It raised kind of cognitive dissonance in me is the term, where I'd go back to my suburban church and be praising, America, the beautiful, and then the conservative values, and then seeing this things just totally different from an inner city perspective.
Martin Luther King is, one of the, I think, most important, especially Americans of our time. What he has done and accomplished and stood for, they're so significant on many levels. He's mostly known for his leadership in the civil rights effort, but he was a powerful preacher, a tremendous communicator, a phenomenal leader to rally the community, to deal with some very horrendous issues. In particular, he exposed this sin in our nation literally to the world and made it that certain changes actually did take place.
It made an impression on me that he was a man who was standing for something that was right, the courage that God had given him in spite of all of the odds against him and the things that were working against him.
His faith distinguished him, his Christian values, his reliance upon the Word, and then ultimately on the Spirit of God to do something that we know we needed power from on high to get done. That ought to inspire something in you to realize that we cannot simply stand by and allow injustices to take place.
Jesus Christ and the gospel, it levels the playing field. We're all sinners in need of salvation, and God restores us to the place of sonship. And as sons, we all have a place at the Father's table. And so Dr. King was pointing us to the simple testimony of what Jesus Christ lived, died, was raised again, and that is that we have an inherent value, being all created in the image and likeness of God. God created the entire universe to experience His blessings. When we see those being hindered or violated, we really need to stand for God and for His Word.
It's the daily living those things out. I think that's most important. When we think about the gospel, if it's good news, it ought to be good news for everybody.